Hey everyone, Dark Magician of Team Sorcerers here, and welcome back to What If Wednesday, and it's another Robot Wars one, which is something I thought of, and that is, what if Chaos 2, Hypno-Disc, and Razer, the big three, have returned for Series 7, just them. Now I know I already did similar ones to this one, but this time I'm referring to just those three. Well, it would mean that Smidsy, Thermidor 2, and Ming Dynasty wouldn't be seeded, and the big three would be put in their heats. Now, I know, obviously, Chaos 2 would have been retired before the 7th Wars, but what if it wasn't? What if it came back one more time? So the seeding lineup would be 1 Tornado, 2 Razer, 3 Firestorm 5, 4 Terahertz, 5 Bigger Brother, 6 Stanton Kier, 7 Hypno-Disc, 8 Spawn Again, 9 13 Black, 10 Chaos 2, 11 Panic Attack, 12 Pussycat, 13 Behemoth, 14 Exterminator again, 15 Bulldog Breed, and 16 Storm 2. Now, I think Hypno-Disc would go in Ming's heat, but I'm not sure which two between Razer and Chaos 2 would go in the other heats. That's a tough one to figure out. I think if Razer was put in Atomic's heat, then Razer would win the heat. I mean, Atomic and Smidsy are good, but I'm not sure either of them would beat Razer. Whereas if Razer was in Thermidor's heat, then yeah, I think Razer would come out on top there as well. As for Chaos 2, I'm not sure I can picture it making it out of the heat again. I think it would do well and get to the heat final, depending on which one it was, defeating maybe the likes of Smidsy, Hellbent, the Kraken, Chronic 2 along the way, but unless it's fixed the problems it was having in the 5th and the 6th Wars, chances are it's going to end up running out of gas again and then get flipped over and immobilized on its back. Or Atomic would just flip it out the arena, just like everyone else it defeated in that series. Although maybe there is still a chance it could flip Thermidor 2 out, but I'm just not sure. Now with Hypno-Disc, that's pretty easy to figure out. Hypno-Disc would be able to defeat anyone in that heat and would go through to the series semi-finals. So let's cover semi-final 1. It's mostly the same, only Hypno-Disc would fight Exterminator instead of Saint Aggro. But yeah, I don't see Exterminator beating Hypno-Disc here, despite having a spinner as well. So yeah, Hypno-Disc would just get to Exterminator first and tear it apart and then go through. And then it would face Bulldog Breed again. This is the 3rd time they've clashed. It just ends up going a similar way to their other fights. I mean, I don't know what could have been done to prevent spinners immobilizing Bulldog Breed on one side, but Either way, I'm not sure Bulldog Breed would win here, so Hypno-Disc would win this encounter and go through to the grand final for a fourth time, joining Tornado. As for the other one, semi-final, it really depends who gets through. Razer would definitely be there. It depends who would join, whether it's Thermidor 2 or Atomic. Yeah. I mean, if Atomic goes through, then that means Razer would fight Typhoon 2. And yeah, I've gone over this scenario before, and I don't see Razer getting any further here. Razer's good, but I honestly think if Razer and Typhoon 2 met, Typhoon 2 would wreck Razer. And then the rest of that semi-final plays out the same way, with Storm 2 and Typhoon 2 going through. So then the grand final would be mostly the same, with Storm 2 beating Tornado. And then Hypno-Disc and Typhoon 2 would clash. I can't remember if I already covered this in another What If or not, but I don't know. I guess it depends who'd get to whom first and do damage. I mean, if Typhoon 2 beats Hypno-Disc, then Hypno-Disc would go into the playoff and fight Tornado, and yeah, sadly Tornado would just beat Hypno-Disc again. I mean, it's hard to really say how Hypno-Disc would even beat Tornado. I mean, I think its only chance would be to for the disc to attack the back of Tornado and rip the link out. But yeah, that's easier said than done, of course. And then the grand final just plays out the same way, with Typhoon 2 winning. Now, if Hypno-Disc beats Typhoon 2, then Typhoon 2 would fight Tornado in the playoff. But it depends if Typhoon could really recover from Hypno-Disc's damage. So it's hard to say. I mean, if it doesn't, Tornado wins. Otherwise, if Typhoon 2's perfectly fine, then it could probably beat Tornado. Because let's face it, I mean, if Typhoon 2 can beat Storm 2, then surely it could beat Tornado. But, you know, that's just my best guess. You know, don't come at me in the comments. So Hypno-Disc would be in the grand final and fight Storm 2, and yeah, Hypno-Disc has no chance. Tornado's just way too strong. Not Tornado, Storm 2 is just way too strong, and Storm 2 would be the champion. So that's one scenario. There's quite a couple of multiple scenarios here. Now, if Thermidor 2 was there instead of Atomic, then that would mean Razer would then fight M2 instead and defeat M2. And then Razer would end up facing off against Typhoon 2 in round 2 of that semi-final, and then the fight plays out in the same way that I just described. But yeah, in both scenarios, it really does come down to who would win between Hypno-Disc and Typhoon 2. Now, let's go with an alternate scenario where Chaos 2 is able to beat Thermidor 2, and Flip is out the arena in its heat. So Chaos 2 would be in the semi-finals again, and what would happen then? It would be sort of similar to the other scenario. So Chaos 2 would then go up against Typhoon 2 in the semi-finals, and I don't know whether or not it would be able to get at Typhoon 2 quickly enough. It's unlikely, so yeah, Typhoon 2 would easily damage Chaos 2's flipper, and Chaos 2 would be out of it. And then the second scenario plays out the same way. But if by some miracle Chaos 2 does successfully flip Typhoon 2 over, then this does change things. And then Chaos 2 and Razer would end up fighting each other for that last place in the grand final. But more than likely Razer would win it, and Razer would be in the grand final again. So in that case, Storm 2 and Tornado would still fight each other. Storm 2 comes out on top. But in a Series 7 setting, I don't know who'd win between Hypno-Disc and Razer. It's a tough one to call here. If Hypno-Disc wins, then the grand final plays out in the same way as Scenario 2, and Razer and Tornado would do battle in the playoff. But this time, the anti-Razer frame is unavailable, because that frame was apparently banned for the 7th Wars, or at least that's what I heard, and the spinner on it was modified as a separate weapon, and with no anti-Razer frame, Tornado has no chance against Razer, and Razer would take 3rd place. Now, if Razer beat Hypno-Disc, then Hypno-Disc again would fight Tornado in the playoff, and Tornado would come 3rd, with Hypno-Disc finishing 4th for a 3rd time. And then Storm 2 and Razer would do battle in the grand final, and either Razer wins and reclaims the title, or Storm 2 does. I talked about that fight before, but Razer would more than likely win just by grabbing a hold of Storm 2, getting the beacon between the wheels, dragging it to the pit release button, activating it, and dumping Storm 2 down. So yeah, it really does depend on Chaos 2's performance, but either Typhoon 2 still wins, or Storm 2 wins, or in the 4th scenario, Razer wins. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching.